Belucci. I'm the Beluch. I'm interviewing business owners here in Kansas City, Waldo, Brookside, Leawood, Prairie Village, Plaza, Westport. I interviewed a politician in Fairway. It's good. This is Casey Wright.
Nice to meet you, Frankie.
Nice to meet you, Casey. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for reaching out.
You're very welcome. We are at Chief of Staff. Tell us about Chief of Staff and how you got started, what it is, what do you do?
Sure. So Chief of Staff KC, we're based here in Brookside. Been in business for 12 years. I came on as owner in June of 2019. I've been in the recruiting business for about 17 years before joining here. Took a year off to travel with the wife and kids before taking over June of 2019. So we're a recruiting firm. We worked with over 200 different companies here in Kansas City last year, anywhere from your multi-billion-dollar international publicly traded companies to pre-revenue startups and everything in between. Pretty industry agnostic, but our specialties are finance and accounting, HR, sales, operations, and administrative roles. So pretty much anything within the corporate realm. If we don't do it, we've got a partner that does. And so we want to be Kansas City's staffing firm. So far, we've been on a great pace and plan to continue making a difference.
That's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's exciting, especially after the pandemic. You had said that you just moved into this office space pandemic.
Yep.
And so that must have been tough. And you've now come through to the other side and are flourishing.
Yep, absolutely. I took over the business 9 months before the pandemic. We moved into the space we're in right now, literally 2 weeks before the shutdown. So built out a new space, tripled our square footage, tripled the price of rent, and boom, we can't use the space anymore. So that was intimidating for the first couple of months of the pandemic. It was hard to know whether or not we were going to make it. First time being a business owner, less than a year into it, and I said, well, shoot, this is why a lot of people don't dive in and make the plunge to be a business owner.
Entrepreneurship.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. But we stayed the course, stayed busy, stayed active, and next thing you know, by the end of 2020 is the best year we've ever had, and has continued to increase significantly every year since then.
It's great. I acknowledge your grit as an entrepreneur.
Thank you.
I know what it's like.
Sure.
I know what it's like, and it's the peaks are so high and the lows are brutal.
Yep.
And the grit to get through it is character defining.
Absolutely.
Sure.
It's a challenge, but it's been all worthwhile for sure.
So what makes Chief of Staff unique?
I think we're the best by far at doing it Kansas City's way. I've said this a lot. I've worked at other recruiting firms. I'm very familiar with recruiting firms, but our industry is not done the same market to market. There's certain industries that, regardless of what town you're in, what city you're in, it's going to be done essentially the exact same way. We do it Kansas City's way. We're not New Yorkers. We're not LA. We're not San Francisco. Nothing against any of those markets, but our approach might not be best in those markets. So Kansas City's never been cooler than it is right now. I don't think there's anyone that's going to debate that.
Sure growing.
It's sure growing, and we love being part of that. But more importantly, I think we take more of a long-term relationship building approach than anywhere I've ever been before. We absolutely focus on the cultural fit, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. That's all that matters. That's the most important thing. There's technical skills that are necessary, but a lot of places I think just take a resume, take a job description, and see a few bullet points that match up and say, here, that's a great job for you. That's a great candidate for you. We really dive in and get to understand our clients very well. We get to understand our candidates really well. Many of them are years and years long relationships. So when we have a job come up, we know right away who's going to be the best fit for it. And we want to make an impact on everybody's lives. We don't want to just find a job or find a candidate for people, but I joke around a lot. It's like your house, your spouse, and your career are probably your three biggest decisions you'll ever make in your life.
That's right.
We make a huge impact on one of those. It's a big responsibility. It's fun, though. And we don't take that for granted. That's for sure.
Your house, your spouse, and your career. I'm going to take that with me because that's my business as well. And it is a big deal. And the approach is, my approach is a very entrepreneurial, hand-in-hand approach.
Yep.
I like to shake hands. I like to make nice, and it's Kansas City nice. Most people think I'm East Coast just because I'm big and loud and talk with my hands. And but it's that drives our small business in this area. And I'm finding more and more as I meet with more and more business owners, that's really what it is. It's that personalized approach.
Absolutely.
That you're taking. How do you think that you weave into the fabric of Brookside?
Yeah, well, we're outgrowing the space. That's a good problem to have. We are focused on trying to stay around here as much as possible. But like I said, we did business with over 200 different companies in Kansas City alone last year. A lot of them are right here in our neighborhood in Brookside. You know, when I first took over here, I honestly wasn't sure if I'd keep the company in Brookside long term. Everywhere I'd ever worked was in the South Johnson County space, closest to the most highways and densest population of people and densest population of companies. And that was something that I thought made most sense. And early on, when I started having people come to our office, they'd walk in and they'd say, "Oh, you guys are different." And I said, "That's great. I don't know if I can get a better compliment than that. We don't want to be just the same as all the others." And I did hear that from a lot. It's like, I don't know, I worked with one of those ones out near Corporate Woods. They're all the same. I tend to agree with that. We do things a little bit differently. We love the fact that we support the bars and restaurants and coffee shops and grocery stores. They're all around here. We can walk to lunch. We can walk to coffee. That's not something I've done in my career in a long time, because there are a ton of companies in the Kansas City area that are in the suburbs where you don't do anything without getting in your car. I feel like we're really ingrained into the community here, and that's something different than most anywhere else I've worked before.
Awesome. What's the most rewarding for you as a business owner here in Brookside? I call it Brookside Waldo Plaza. I mean, we're all right here.
Most rewarding is seeing the difference with the lives that we make with the people that are looking for jobs, but also my own employees too. I think I've said this a million times. If anyone follows me on anything, you've heard me say this, but I've got the best team in the business. And I don't just mean in Brookside. I don't just mean in Kansas City. I mean that in the country. I've got a killer team that takes care of each other, and I love them all like family. That's hard to find, and we're really, really proud of that. I said this a couple of years ago. Almost every single one of our employees that had been here more than a couple of months either bought their first home, bought a second property, or made a big upgrade in their houses. A lot of people have had to get their passports for the first time in the last couple of years because they've won incentive trips. We've sent them internationally on trips. It's fun to see the impact on what this can do for their lives, but both professionally and personally too. I mean, the social and professional lives are very overlapped nowadays.
This business, we're in a corporate building, so we're not a retail space. One of the questions that I talk to business owners about, how do you bring a smile to homeowners in the neighborhood, and how do you generate a smile on their faces? And it sounds like you're doing it internally. So that's one way. Is there anything else that you'd add to that? How are you interacting with the neighborhood?
Yeah, I think we take a more consultative approach than I've ever seen before. We work with candidates that are moving to town. We work with people that are going through big life changes. People that are empty nesters, someone that's dealt with a death in the family, someone that's dealt with, going through a divorce, or has an illness that necessitates them to move to a different home that's maybe one level living or whatever. So we love giving advice on everything. What neighborhoods are best for young kids? Yeah, well, sure. We don't want to be know-it-alls, but we do have a good pulse on what's going on. So it's funny that you have to be in real estate because people ask me a lot of times. I mean, I just gave a presentation to a group of college athletes yesterday, and they didn't know what recruiting was. They didn't know much about our industry. I didn't know much about it before I got into it either. But I say residential real estate is very similar to what we do in a lot of ways, in the sense that there's a lot of realtors out there. I don't think there's that many that are really good at what they do. I think that's the same with our business. There's a lot of realtors that you say, "Hey, I'm looking for a house. I'm looking to move here." And you go to a group of listings in Brookside and you email it to them. And essentially it's not much different than what they could find if they went and looked online. Same with a lot of recruiters. Like, well, here's a few jobs that are available in the market. And it's essentially what's posted online, and they can go find it themselves. A really good real estate agent knows about a pocket listing. They know about something that might be coming up soon. They know the best way to close the deal, how aggressive to get with an offer, what things to be aware of. Like, all right, yes, this is cheap, but I know there's going to be some upgrades because they've been tearing out the pipes in the neighborhood or whatever. Like, a good recruiter does the same thing. Is, hey, this company's not actively looking to hire right now, but with your background, we know we can get them to move the needle because of what you've done. And so we're impacting companies that are around here. We're impacting people's lives that are around here. And it's a very similar way to a residential real estate agent.
I appreciate you saying that, because my approach, my tagline for my business is where experience meets excellence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it takes a lot. Real estate, recruiting. They're niche industries. Yeah, there's tons of people doing it, but how many people really care, and how many people are going to work with you closely to identify what it is you really want. And you said that early in the interview, that you get to know your candidates. If I don't get to know you as a homeowner or you as a business owner, or if I can't put you together, then I'm not doing a good job. And I think that's critical for many small businesses. Many of the interviews that I'm having, it's a lot of the same things. It's a lot of small town, and we are no small town, but it's a lot of small town mentality. We want to take care of our people.
Yep.
We want to be nice. Retail shops want to welcome you in. Welcome, we're glad you're here.
Sure.
Shop local.
Yeah, absolutely.
I digress. How do you think that your business is contributing to the vibrancy of Brookside and the area?
Well, as you've seen, we have a fun space here.
It is fun. And the game, they got a game that's like, I'll show you.
17,000 game arcade system. We think culture, like I said, is the most important thing for our clients and candidates, but that starts with us. We have a really good culture here. We entertain a lot. A couple years ago, we had our 10-year anniversary as a company. We had a few hundred people between, in the office. We had food trucks that we hired. We had bartenders. We had a photo booth. We hired the Marching Cobras, which I was devastated to hear that the Marching Cobras are no longer. So
they shut that down.
I'm super excited that we were able to
40 years, I think they were in business.
At least, yeah.
I think it was 40 or more years, yeah.
But, Marching Cobras is something I grew up with. They're a staple of Kansas City. A lot of my employees and some of our clients and other people that were here attending the event had never seen them before. So it's like, ooh, I feel great that I actually got to help show people the Marching Cobras before they went under. Like I said, we've worked with 200 plus companies here in town. Like, we're placing people that play a very integral role within that organization. They create the culture. And, we do spend so many years getting to know our people that we usually aren't just placing someone that's really actively looking. Rather, let's find the right fit long term. And a lot of times they don't even know that they're looking, nor do they know what they're looking for. I mean, back to the residential real estate example, I think a really good real estate agent listens and they take in what someone's telling them, and then they kind of figure out exactly what they're saying. I'm a perfect example of this. My wife and I, before we bought the house we live in right now, we looked for over 3 years for homes. We went to open houses every single Sunday. Several of the things that we thought we were looking for changed because of what we saw. Same with the recruiting industry. There's a lot of times people will say, well, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. And this goes both ways. Both our candidates, the job seekers, and our clients are looking to hire. Well, we need this, we need that, we need this. Well, why? And a lot of times they can't come up with the why. And it's because that's how we've always done it before. That's what I read on a job description.
Would you be open to?
Yeah, would you be open to? And I'm like, I hear you saying this, and this is where my psychology background comes in. But what I really believe you're trying to say, and they scratch their head, is like, why don't you just go take a look at it, just like a house? You don't have to buy it. I always encourage people to go on a first date. I'm never going to push somebody to take a job. I'm pushing them to have a conversation. Go on a first date. If you like it, try a second date and maybe go to the altar. But if not, you don't have much to lose. And I feel like we're really good at opening people's eyes to just what else is out there in town.
It's great. I love this. This is an incredible conversation. Do you have any exciting new stuff happening, buzzworthy news that you want to share with us?
Well, like we've established, we're busting at the seams here space-wise. This is a challenge because we really like our culture. We like our vibe here. So we are exploring options on what's next just with our space. We're getting something delivered, I think, tomorrow that I'm excited about. It's like a phone booth, basically, but it's a soundproof room where people can go to take phone calls and do virtual interviews and stuff. It was a big purchase, but it's 100% silent. You can sit there and scream right outside of it and not hear a word. So I think people are going to be fighting over who gets to use that the most. But, people have talked about the economy slowing down. We're not seeing that at all. We're not seeing it whatsoever in Kansas City. I do think some bigger markets, the coast, maybe some international markets have been hit a little bit, but in Kansas City, it's the opposite of that, where we're just seeing companies that are continuing to struggle to find talent, which is a struggle for us too. Our job's not easy, and everyone's like, oh, this must be great for you. Everyone's hiring, the salaries are more, you guys are getting paid more. It's like, yeah, but the truth is we have to work 3, 4, 5 times as hard for every deal we close now because candidates have so many options that it's hard to get past the finish line compared to the past.
I have not had to but just because of entrepreneurship. I've not had to interview for decades.
Sure.
But I have a lot of people I know that have done current interviewing, and it's a brutal. It's
a challenging market right now, for sure.
It's tough. So, how can we give back? Like, how can you and I, as homeowners, how can my audience, how can we as homeowners, how can we support the area? How can we give back? How can we make a difference?
So I tell people this a lot. I get asked frequently from people that are job seekers. Someone's new to town. Someone may be unemployed. Maybe they've got a great background, very intelligent, but their specialty is a little outside of our niche, is a little outside of what we've seen demand for recently. And they ask advice. And I tell everyone, I think Kansas City is one of the, if not the best market in the country for people wanting to help others out. I don't think you get that in every market, and it's genuine. The difference is, you mentioned Kansas City nice earlier. I think there's times when people are too nice here, where they don't want to offer unsolicited help or unsolicited advice because they don't want to offend someone. You know, you may have a casual friend that you think would be great at your company. It's like, well, I don't know, he or she may be making more money than we can offer, or I don't want to be presumptuous and assume that they're not happy in their current role. I think people need to be more strategic about offering advice and offering help to people, and not just sitting back and waiting for someone to ask them for the help.
But don't you think that's our responsibility to ask the right questions?
It is. But it works both ways, though, too. I placed a guy not too long ago with one of his best buddies, his golf partner. And everyone's like, why is someone paying you a fee to hire someone that is a good friend of his that he already knows personally?
To uncover the match.
The truth is, he was never going to ask him because he assumed he was making more money and didn't want to offend him. And was that too close for comfort? And when I asked both parties, they were both thrilled to work with each other, but neither one was going to approach it without me making that connection, though.
Yeah. I think that we as a society, not to digress, we as a society don't ask enough questions of one another. Hey, how you doing? Is not enough. If we really care, if we're really interested in how you're doing, like, man, tell me what's going on with you. Like, I really, really want to know.
Yep.
And there's an empathy that I think that tends to be missing, that is showing up in this conversation. That's why I'm bringing it up. Communities have a rhythm.
Sure.
Have you found any traditions or regular things that happen here in Brookside, Waldo, that you participate in, celebrate every year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the art fair is a big one. I just went to an event at one of our clients' offices last week 2 weeks ago for the Plaza Art Fair. We got the Brookside Art Fair. You got the Prairie Village Art Fair. Those are great. You got the St. Patty's Day Parade. I'm a big Irish family, so that's always exciting. We like to host events here for that.
I don't go.
too much going on. It's a little hectic. My young kids at home really enjoy it, but we want to get as involved as possible. We pride ourselves in being very philanthropic. We sit on the boards of multiple charities. We sponsor multiple charities. We attend all sorts of different events.
Outstanding. And
we want to continue to grow that. We encourage every single one of our employees here to be involved in something, and we don't even care what it is. Everyone has a different passion, but I think it's good. Find what your passion is. There's times where I've worked places before, and a company decides on this is the charitable organization, the nonprofit, whatever it is that we're going to support. Well, if that's not something that individual is passionate about or as passionate about as something else, it's hard to really get them to buy into that. So I'm more, find what you're passionate about, and we're going to support that versus this is just what you have to do.
Well, I thank you. I thank you for doing that. Do you have a place that you like to get some peace and quiet away from the office, some zen in the neighborhood?
In the neighborhood? Yeah, that's
not
just
question. Zen, not just peace and quiet. Let's say, favorite place to eat?
Favorite place to eat? I've got to support local. The Flying Horse is right across the street. They've got all sorts of local spirits and beers, wings. They've got great flatbreads. We just wish they were open more often. The problem is, since the pandemic, a lot of the hospitality industry's really, really struggled to find workers. So right now, as far as I know, the only day it's open for lunch is Fridays. BKS Brewery's right next door. I mean, that's as good a beer as you'll find in town. So we like to go support that as well.
Plate.
What's that? Plate's great, right next door as well. We got Brady and Fox that just moved in recently. We've got Brookside Sushi right across the street here. So we've got all sorts of them. We've got our usual suspects. I'm going to go to the Brooksider and Charlie Hooper's and Heirloom Bakery. And yeah, there's a ton of them that we like to support.
Decaffeinate.
Yeah.
Where do you caffeinate? Where do you like to get coffee? Like right here.
I like drinking coffee here in my own office, personally. Maybe that's because too many concerts or too many hits to the head playing football, but I can't hear so well always.
What?
I go into a coffee shop, and a lot of times they're super noisy, so I still go to plenty of coffee shops, but I love doing it here where it's quiet, and I can actually listen, because we were talking about earlier is people don't ask the questions, and I'll take it a step further. I think people ask the questions and forget to listen. They always say the best salesperson is the best listener, and so I want to be in a spot where I really feel comfortable listening, honestly.
He who speaks first loses. I think that's the thing.
Very wise.
I would ask you if you could come, if there was a playlist, a track list for your office, for this building, for this neighborhood, what are the top 3 songs?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
It is.
Top 3 songs. My father taught me at a young age to love Jimi Hendrix. So there'd be something Jimi Hendrix. I mean, Purple Haze feels like the easiest answer. Does that apply lyrically to this? No, but it's just a darn good jam. So I think I'd have to throw that in there. We're competitors here. Win, hip-hop song that's out right now by, I think, J-Rock. That's great because we want to win. And winning can mean a lot of different things. Winning can mean our impact on the community. And how about Tech 9 Red Kingdom?
How about Tech 9?
How about that? Does that work? A little tribute to our local artists there.
Our local artists and our local sports team.
And the Chiefs,
That's
obviously.
Right. Go Chiefs. Listen, is there anything I didn't ask you, Casey? Anything that you want to share with the YouTube audience? Anything I didn't uncover that you want to tell us? No.
Other than feel free to reach out to us anytime. Like I said, we want to make a big difference in as many people's lives as possible, focusing on quality over quantity. In order to get to quality, sometimes you have to go through a lot of quantity. I used to judge my success in this business by metrics. I was always fed these metrics, and the number one thing is if you meet someone, you place them, we get paid a fee by a company, that's a success story. I quickly realized, though, that wasn't the best way of viewing our industry because it's a numbers game. I can meet, the more and more success we have in this business, the more and more people that are referred to us, it becomes a percentage thing. We're not going to place every single person we find in a job. That's just not realistic. So I changed my thinking years ago where it's not just about placing them, but it's making a difference and it's helping them out. There's a million different ways. So I don't even like to tell people I'm a recruiter or a headhunter or in staffing or whatever term you want to use. We connect people, we help them however we can. I don't really use the term interview. I don't really use the term client meeting anymore. It's the 3 things I preach to my team here every day is be good people, spend time with good people, and work hard, and everything else works itself out. So if we're treating people right, sometimes that's just giving them advice, that's giving them interview tips, that's giving them resume tips, that's giving them market knowledge. We take care of them. Sometimes it's just being a therapist. It's listening to them, it's listening to their problems, it's giving them some encouragement when they've fallen down, helping them back up. It's the right thing to do. It feels right. But ultimately, I believe in karma too, and what goes around comes around.
Man, great interview today, folks. Great interview. Listen, I'm Frankie Bellucci, the Bellucci, and I'm a realtor at Remax Premier in Prairie Village. I cover Prairie Village, Leawood, Waldo, Brookside, Plaza, Westport. I'm right here. Anything in real estate that you need. If you have somebody that needs real estate need, let me know. I want to help you on your journey. All the things that we talked about really apply in my business as well. I'm committed to a great relationship and making your journey as smooth as possible. If you'd hit like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Your support means everything. If you have any comments, if you want to hear more things in an interview, please let me know so I can ask my guests and other business owners here in town. And that's it. Casey, man, what a great time. Thank you so very much.
Absolutely.
We're going to be friends, I think.
Absolutely.
I like this guy. Okay, listen, that's it. Ciao.
Thanks, guys.